As to the origin of chapati, while some agree that it originated from the Egyptian Indus Valley Civilization about 2500 BC, others believe that it was first produced in East Africa and taken to India. History also has it that chapati had been a favorite meal to King Akbar in 1556. Back then, the main occupation in India was agriculture and the people were only able to cultivate wheat and other grains but no other sources of food. So, by cultivating grains in bulk, grinding, and mixing them, chapati originated. It was a satisfying way of eating their crops as it consists of wheat and other flour. The fact that chapati was easy to prepare and filling made it a very important food for travelers. It was an essential food for them to carry along because it was satisfying and made them travel farther while feeding on less. They could just eat once in a day. Chapati reached other countries as a result of immigration because as these Indian families migrated to the United States, the United Kingdom, and other countries, they took their cuisine with them. Before long, the cuisine became popular and shortly everyone learned how to make it. What is chapati? Chapati, also called roti, is a round flat unleavened bread very common in the Indian subcontinent and other emigrants from the Indian subcontinent throughout the world. It is made of whole wheat flour known as atta, oil, or ghee, and water. The dough is then divided into smaller balls and rolled into the perfectly even flat dough. Then the flattened dough is cooked on top of a forged iron griddle to have warm and toasted chapatis. Chapatis can also be eaten with vegan and non-vegan curries or dry sabzis. They also taste good with desi ghee. They can also be served with curries, dry vegetables, deals, and meats. A whole wheat chapati is low in calories and contains a good amount of fiber, making it great for people looking to slim down. This is because it helps fill you up and satiate you enough to stop frequent hunger pangs between meals. Making the right chapati is usually seen as an act that needs constant practice. A specific thickness must be achieved to enable the dough to rise enough to make the upper thin layer, which is one of the main properties of the bread. Because chapatis are popular in India and might be prepared twice daily, it becomes necessary to prepare the dough in bulk to be used for the day. The common challenge that most women face when preparing this chapati roti has always been kneading the dough. It is usually tough mixing the wheat flour and other ingredients in a bowl with your hands, and you must get it right. Not only is it tough, but it can also be time-consuming. Now to solve this problem, a food processor can be used. I will take you through the process. Before making chapati, here are some things you should keep in mind. 1. Be sure that the motor of the food processor is strong enough to knead the dough. Alternatively, you can check the manual to be sure that the dough can be made with the food processor. 2. Find out if the food processor comes with a dough blade. It will have blunt edges, but at the same time, it will look identical as your regular chopping blade. 3. You should have all your ingredients within reach before you start, to prevent running helter-skelter. 4. To achieve smoother kneading, it is advisable to add more water than needed. Then you can go ahead to dust some flour on the dough and do the final kneading using your hand. 5. You can only make this recipe with a food processor and not a blender. What are the ingredients needed to make the chapati dough? 1. 1½ cups of whole wheat flour, otherwise known as atta. 2. 1 cup of warm water. 3. 1½ teaspoons of salt. 4. 2 teaspoons of oil and ghee, optional. Although these are the sole ingredients you will need to create a standard chapati, you can also add a teaspoon of spices if you wish to create a variety of the current simple recipe. Steps you can take to make your chapati dough are: Step 1. Pour wheat flour, salt, and ghee, if you are using it, into the bowl of your food processor to blend the ingredients. Step 2. After adding these ingredients, close the cover and put on the machine to mix thoroughly. Start at a low speed to be sure that the salt mixes well with the wheat flour. Step 3. Now, while the machine is running, slowly add water through the lid. It is not advisable to add the water at once as it will make the dough a little bit tough to blend the ingredients. Though this will depend largely on the quality of flour and the environmental humidity. As you keep adding the water, you notice that the dough will be forming slowly. Add water in batches so that you can control the consistency of the dough. Now, it is time to knead. Step 4. In kneading the dough, add oil or ghee to it and let the food processor work for a moment longer. If you cannot find any ghee, you can use oil instead. It will not be quite as authentic, but it should do the trick. Also, adding oil will make the dough softer. If the chapati is hard, it will not puff up. Likewise, be careful so the dough does not get too soft. You equally choose to improve the quality by adding some milk or cream. Step 5. Allow it to rest for about 30 minutes before going ahead to prepare your chapati. But if the dough is not to be used immediately, you can choose to store it. It is usually a problem keeping the dough fresh for 24 hours since this dough is at risk of mold. There is a possibility that it will turn to grayish-black, wasting all the efforts put in making them. To prevent this, store the dough in good airtight containers and keep it refrigerated always. Did you make chapati dough using your food processor? Tell us how it turned out in the comment section below. Subscribe to our channel and turn the notification on, so that you will know once we post a new video. Do not forget to visit our site, www.zimfoodprocessors.com for more food processor content like this. Thank you.